It's Argentina's final friendly before the start of the World Cup. Lionel Messi doesn't start for the defending champions. They've been very aware of monitoring his minutes ahead of kickoff. Meanwhile, great support here in the stands at Auburn University. War Eagle is a chant that obviously resonates around this stadium. And the Eagle released as is tradition ahead of kickoff as it circles the fans who are in good voice here tonight. The weather has cleared up. It is turning into a beautiful evening for soccer. It's Argentina against Iceland, live here on ESPN. Stuart Robson alongside me, Robbo, and you look at this Argentina side who are looking to defend the World Cup, something that has been very, very rarely done in the history of this tournament. Have they got enough within themselves to do exactly that?
They've got one of the world's best players, of course, in Messi, who can dictate the game. He can make things happen. That's the plus point. They've got a couple of good forwards, depends who starts up front. They've got some interesting players in midfield, some dynamic players in midfield. But I would still worry about their age in defence. You know, when you look at Otamendi, who could still be playing as one of the centre-halves in the first game of the tournament, 4 years on, is he good enough? Molina, who has hardly played for Atletico Madrid at times this season, he's certainly not the #1 pick at right back. He could be playing. So I would say that it's going to be very, very difficult for Argentina to win this tournament.
How concerning is it that Messi hasn't really featured yet in these friendlies?
You're hoping that, as you just mentioned, that they're resting him. They want to make sure he's fit for the first game, that he's doing the right sort of training. And they don't want to show him too much in the first half here. I think he'll probably come on in the second half, as will most of the players, because it's very much a second-string side for Argentina at the start of this game. Probably only one or two of the people will start in that very first game against Algeria. But Lionel Messi, whether he's fully fit or not, will still have an effect on this Argentinian side in that first game.
You know these teams, when it comes to Argentina, inside out. What are you hoping to learn from today's tie, or is it merely an exercise?
I think a lot of it will be an exercise today because they're not putting their first team out. You'll see the shape of the team, and a lot of these players will be playing for their places, really. Can we show enough to the coach that we are worthy of taking one or two of the other players out of the team? Because when you look at the team they played the other day, that's probably going to be the side that starts, not the one we're seeing here today.
And what's your motivation if you're an Icelandic player?
You're playing for your national team. You're playing in a massive stadium. There's 60,000 people there. You're playing against one of the world's best teams. You want to play as well as you can because they've got a terrible record in recent times.
Yes.
They were a good team in the 2018 World Cup. Not at the moment.
Yeah, that generation has very much peaked, isn't it? A new one coming in.
Well, they played Argentina in that World Cup and got a draw. So they were a good side. They obviously did well at the European Championships. But that team has gone and now they're trying to rebuild.
Robbo, thank you very much. Just a reminder, 2 days till the World Cup kicks off here in the States. For the friendlies, it's all about Argentina against Iceland for us here on ESPN. Lionel Messi expected to come in for the second half, and ESPN FC with you throughout the week. We'll be with you 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2 with Jurgen, Stevie, Kay, Robbo, Ali and Frank.
I wouldn't say so. I actually think Algeria have been, over the years, a good side. We know that the North African teams like Egypt, Morocco, Algeria can play well, can cause problems. So that might be a tough game. And Austria, under Ranić, have been much, much better over the last 2 or 3 years. So I would say they're two tough games. Jordan they should beat, but those first two games might just be tricky. And remember, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in the first game at the last tournament.
And then how did that tournament end, Robbo?
I think they won it in the end.
So are you focusing again always on the negative?
Yeah, glass half empty, that's me.
And not the positive. How many minutes have we given Messi today?
Probably, I would say, about 30.
Right.
And he'll come on in the second half.
Bring it on the hour mark.
Yeah, bring him on the hour. He'll try and get on the ball as much as possible. He's not going to do too much running, as you know, but he will affect games. But with his passing and his little 1-2s in the box, he's still an outstanding player, no doubt about it.
What gear are you in as a player for these friendlies?
Well, these are I said, Argentinians players are not the first picks. So I think they will have something to prove. So for that first half, I think they will be 90-95%.
Oh, really? OK. Well, let's join our commentary team then for this friendly clash live on ESPN between Argentina and Iceland, Alejandro Moreno and Adrian Healy.
Thank you very much indeed, Dan. The world champions make their final stop prior to beginning the defence of their World Cup trophy in a week's time. It's an unprecedented port of call for this Argentina team. Legendary Jordan Hare Stadium here in Auburn, Alabama. I'm with Alejandro Moreno, and a chance for some of Argentina's squad members to make an impression today, Ali, as we look at this starting 11.
Yeah, already players that made a good impression in the game they played earlier this past week. Valentin Barco was one of those players that looked good against Honduras, but it's an opportunity for Nico Paz, who had such a great season at Como and supposed to be the heir apparent to Lionel Messi. We'll see what he does with that chance today.
Well, this is the storied home of the Auburn Tigers, tonight welcoming Lionel Messi in Argentina as they take on Iceland. It's the first ever international friendly in this stadium. And as we mentioned, a massive night for some of Argentina's squad members. 4 changes for them tonight from the team that beat Honduras on Saturday by 2-0. In our pre-game studio, you heard Stuart Robson worrying a little bit, Ali, about the age of Nicolas Otamendi at the heart of that Argentine defence. He's there wearing number 19, captaining Argentina at the age of 38, and he'll have some young Icelandic strikers to go up against tonight, primarily number 9, Ori Oskarsson, who's really caught the eye in Spain.
Yeah, he has. And in terms of Otamendi chasing around young strikers, I think Nicolas Otamendi is having difficulties chasing all strikers. It's actually surprising that Otamendi is still featuring for the Argentina national team and could very well feature in that first match against Algeria. Credit to him, but man, where is the next generation of center backs for Argentina? I suppose that Cristian Romero would take that place if he were healthy. We'll see if he'll be ready and fit to go for that first game against Algeria.
So of those changes for Coach Lionel Scaloni tonight, 2 of them coming up front. It's all change in the attack with Jose Lopez getting the start. El Flaco and Nico Paz also partnering him. So no place for Lautaro Martinez either tonight from the start. Also a change in goal with Geronimo Rulli taking over. So all set for action. Last stop for Argentina. There's been so much talk about how difficult it is to defend a World Cup trophy, and certainly history tells us that. That is exactly what they will set out to do in a week's time when the World Cup gets underway for them in Kansas City. But for tonight, so much to enjoy here at Jordan Hare Stadium. They were closing in on a capacity sellout, close to 87,000 here, and so many Argentina fans have travelled for far and wide. Perhaps an early indication as to whether we're going to see similar scenes as to those we saw in Qatar 3.5 years ago, when it seemed like the whole country of Argentina had made the trip to Qatar, Alec.
You know full well that Argentina will travel, and they will support this team. And we saw it ourselves 12 years ago in Brazil, how much the Argentina fans were supporting this team. And it wouldn't be a surprise that they're going to be essentially the home team anywhere they play in the World Cup. We'll see how far this team goes. They seem to have everything in place to be one of those that is called upon to be a favorite going into the tournament. Will they have enough magic in them, and will Lionel Messi have enough magic in him in order to make a deep, deep run?
It is certainly one of many tantalizing questions swirling around and run into the start of the tournament, which is just 2 days away. Argentina won't kick off until a week from tonight in Kansas City. And they will play Algeria. Iceland, of course, will be watching the World Cup from their armchairs. It's a team and a small nation that stunned the soccer world, reaching the quarter-finals of Euro 2016 and then qualified for their first and only World Cup in 2018. At that time,
they'll be sitting in the same couch as my beloved home country of Venezuela watching the World Cup. It's a comfortable couch, let me tell you.
Yeah, a wide couch.
Very wide.
only natural. But there's going to be some drop-off from the heights that Iceland reached. Smallest country ever to qualify for a World Cup. That record, of course, has since been smashed. As we're going to welcome Curacao to these shores. Argentina playing in a college football stadium. The second time in 4 nights after their journey to College Station to beat Honduras on Saturday. It's a fairly comfortable win for them. Ali, I know you saw that game as they're on the attack here. Initial shot was charged down. And then the follow-up from Jose Lopez. Here's Giovanni Lo Celso. Lo Celso maintaining his place in the starting lineup. Iceland able to thwart the threat and launch a counter-attack themselves. This is Albert Gudmundsson on the move. Up against Hiei, the standing right back, and a chance for Iceland. What a ball in that was. Somehow there was no touch on it. Ellertson arriving.
Ellerson sets up his run to the back post, and Gudmundsson puts it into a dangerous area. It is poor defending from Hiei to begin with, and poor defending at the back post, and quite frankly, Adrian Healy, that is indeed my kind of range. Is a tap-in for Ellerson, unable to get his foot on the ball in a way that he could make the contact to keep it down. Goes high on him, and it is a miss for Iceland. Wasted opportunity.
We welcome those of you joining us on ESPN. Argentina against Iceland, the first ever international friendly here at legendary Jordan Hare Stadium, the home of the Auburn Tigers. In the heart of Alabama, Adrian Healy and Alejandro Moreno with you. Haven't missed too much. You missed a glaring opportunity for Mikael Ellertson and Iceland to take a shot early lead. We're still trying to digest that, Ali, quite how he missed.
But it's the profile of attack that can hurt Argentina when you're thinking about where are they vulnerable going into the World Cup. They lose the ball in an advanced area, one ball forward, Gudmundsson in a 1v1 situation, poor defending from Hiei in a wide area, poor defending at the back post, and it should have been a goal for Ellerson and Iceland.
Changed looking front line for Argentina today, trying to connect there. The ball over the top for Barco. Here is Lionel Scaloni, the 4th youngest to win a World Cup in history, and the youngest since 1978, when another great Argentine, Cesar Luis Menotti, lifted the trophy on home soil. Argentina, when you look at the odds makers, seem to be right around 4th or 5th place. Ali, in terms of the odds, do you think that's fair with France and Spain, the front runners?
If everybody's at their best, and let's assume that they're going to be, then it seems about right in terms of where Argentina should be. And it's not just about whether they can recapture the magic of 2022, whether they have the same element of good fortune and where the ball bounces in off the post instead of bouncing out, which are some of the things that you need in order to win a tournament like the World Cup. Besides all of that, then you have history going against you. Let's not forget that the last time a team was able to repeat as World Cup champion was all the way back in 1962. Brazil, 58 and 62, and it's only happened twice in history. Italy, the other one in 1934, 1938. So history is not on the side of Argentina, and that's why perhaps you look at it and go, yeah, they're one of the favorites, but not quite as high as they might have been.
Yeah. Currently ranked number 3 in the world by FIFA, and up against a team at 72 places lower than tonight in Iceland.
It's just hard. It's hard to win the World Cup once. It's hard to win it back to back. a lot of things have to go your way. And most of all, you're going to have outstanding performances on back-to-back World Cups from a very similar group. We just saw Lionel Scaloni, and Lionel Scaloni, he decided to make this group about experience. It didn't quite renew the group all that much, and it feels like it's ride or die with the guys that I know have gone through this and are going to be able to handle the moment. Yeah. Is that going to be enough? That's another big question.
Yeah, very much themes of familiarity and continuity. Lionel Scaloni, over 2/3 of the squad that went to Qatar, still very much involved as Argentina want to create some havoc. Man down on the ground is Giuliano Simeone, and almost fell back to him, and then the shot all along the ground. An instinctive left-footed effort from Valentin Barco, and Argentina delight the crowd here at Auburn by taking an early lead.
And I spoke earlier about Valentin Barco, that he had a good match against Honduras, and is one of those players that is making a case for Lionel Scaloni. This is just poor defender from Iceland. Opportunity to clear it. Somebody clear it, get rid of it, clear it. No, all right, fine. Then give an opportunity to Valentin Barco from top of the 18-yard box and give him credit. Stays with it, snapshot, through a whole lot of bodies. The goalkeeper from Iceland sees it late. By the time he reacts, it's too late. Full stretch, can't quite get there. 1-0. Good finish from Valentin Barco. And again, poor defending from Iceland. Unable to clear their lines. 1-0. Argentina.
Well, as you pointed out, Addy, several chances to deal with it for that Icelandic defence. Take nothing away from Barco. That was anything but easy, wasn't it, with the left foot? Didn't have much target to aim at, but found the bottom corner unerringly. Just his second international goal. And what is only his 4th appearance for his country. And at the age of 21, he is kind of the exception to the rule. We're talking about the rejuvenation of this Argentina squad, and how Lionel Scaloni hasn't done that much of it, but Barco has made his presence felt. Oskarsson trying to do the same at the other end for Iceland, who had that chance through Ellertson before Barco pounced. Here's Gudmundsson.
It's interesting to ask the question from Argentina, from Lionel Scaloni, as he looks at this group of players that are currently on the field. Which one of these players could be useful to him during the World Cup? And think back to 4 years ago and how players like Alexis McAllister were not considered to be starters. Enzo Fernandez not considered to be a starter. And then as they lost the game against Saudi Arabia and they had to make some changes, these guys came on and made a difference. Which one of the players that we're now seeing is potentially one of those guys that can make a difference coming off the bench, or if indeed Scaloni needs to make changes from game to game? One of those players, as of right now, so far, is being Valentin Barco.
Yeah, well, certainly there were players that started the last World Cup on the bench and ended up in the starting side, playing a huge part in proceedings. Thinking of Enzo Fernandez, of course, he's on the bench tonight. Given away, and a chance for Lopez to lead the charge. Cutting inside, awkward for the keeper, got enough on it to steer it to safety for now. And then a miss-hit shot on the follow-up from Simeone. And Iceland survive barely.
Maybe I'm going to give an excuse to Nico Paz. It's poor distribution play for Iceland and a turnover. That indeed the field conditions are not helping him out. But it felt like it was one of those moments in which you need to read the situation a whole lot better. Yes, there's an overlapping run of Giuliano Simeone, but the defenders had gone with Simeone, so it felt like it was an opportunity for Nico Paz to cut to his left foot and take the shot himself. Once the overlap happened, felt like Iceland were in a position where at the very least they were going to be able to defend. they did enough just defensively, and eventually Argentina found themselves in an offside position.
These two teams have only met once before, but it was at a World Cup. It was almost exactly 8 years ago to the day in Moscow. It was the opening game for both teams, and it ended as a 1-1 draw. That was when Iceland were perhaps at the peak of their powers. This is Jose Lopez. He's only made one start in his career for Argentina prior to tonight. He sets that up with an invitation.
It's really good work from Jose Manuel El Flaco Lopez. Good turn in open space, able to find the supporting run on the right-hand side. Lisandro Martinez, not surprisingly, taking somebody down. That's something he does quite well and quite naturally. But the hold-up play from Jose Manuel Lopez so far has been really good, and the combination play trying to find Nico Paz also was very good, but good defending in the end from Iceland.
Jose Lopez will be a newer name to some followers of the Argentina national team. As I mentioned, just one start prior to tonight and another 3 substitute appearances. He plays his club football in Brazil with Palmeiras, and he has been a big-time goal scorer in the Brazilian Serie A, hasn't he? He's won the top goal scorer award twice in the last 4 seasons. The age of 25, Jose Lopez perhaps just a little bit older than some of those new arrivals in the Argentina squad.
The other thing to take into consideration when you watch this starting 11 for Lionel Scaloni and Argentina, who scored the clinching penalty kick for Argentina in the World Cup final? It wasn't Messi. It's not Julian Alvarez, Gonzalo Montiel.
Yeah.
The responsibility fell on Gonzalo Montiel, and so that's why it's important to get some repetition for some of these players, because they may be the guys that are called upon in a game-clinching moment to make that sort of difference.
You only know in the knockout rounds there are going to be moments just like that. I mean, Argentina had them in the last World Cup, didn't they? They're taken the distance by the Netherlands. Again, they have Algeria to open up their World Cup Group J, defense of their title, and then that's in Kansas City, and then they'll camp out in Dallas for the next 2 games against Austria and Jordan. Getting to see plenty of the American heartland after being in College Station just the other night. Here's Victor Paulsen. He's a player for Iceland with some MLS experience in his past with the New York Red Bulls and with DC United. Iceland doing a fair amount of travel themselves in recent days. Their last friendly was in Japan, giving the hosts their World Cup send-off. They lost that game by 1-0. That was back on the 31st of May in front of 62,000. Now here they are in front of 87,000.
And if you look back to the World Cup qualifying campaign for Iceland, in a group with France, Ukraine, and Azerbaijan, it really was going to come down, not to the matches against France, because you don't expect to win those. It was going to come down to the matches against Ukraine. And when you lose twice to Ukraine, it really doesn't matter what else you do in the group, because they went on to beat Azerbaijan twice, but the damage was already done. And in losing twice to Ukraine, as expected, they finished third in the group and gone, not in the World Cup.
Yeah. Those 2 wins against Azerbaijan, actually their only 2 wins in the last calendar year. Back to Rulli, the Marseille keeper, who's winning just his 8th Argentina cap tonight. As they're still awaiting number 1 keeper Emi Martinez's return to fitness.
Uh-oh. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, there he is. Okay. Everybody go crazy. They're all clapping for Rodrigo de Paul, I'm sure.
The bodyguard, he's always by his side. The question is, for how long do they get to see the main man tonight? Stuart Robson in our pre-game studio predicting about 30 minutes. That's about right, Ali, with that muscle strain in the left hamstring to try and protect.
Well, this is what I would do if I were Lionel Scaloni. I would have to be 100% sure that Lionel Messi is fit and ready to go, without any sort of question or doubt whatsoever. Because the last thing I would want is to put him out there just because I want him to get some minutes and he wasn't quite ready. And let me just say, if you re-aggravate a muscle strain at this point, more than likely it means that, yeah, the World Cup is not for him.
Yeah.
So if he's ready to go and fit and you want to get him some minutes, so be it. But if there's any question, let him sit comfortably in that same bench that we just saw him.
Yeah. He made an abrupt exit, didn't he, in Inter Miami's last MLS game before the international break. That was back on May the 24th, 2.5 weeks. Medina, Otamendi, Barco, the goal scorer, leaving it for Ezequiel Palacios. Game I mentioned, the only prior meeting between Argentina and Iceland in Moscow, a 1-1 draw. Sergio Aguero was Argentina's scorer for Finn Borgerson equalising, and Lionel Messi actually missed a penalty in that game, you might remember. "20 minutes gone here in Auburn. Glad you could be with us, Adrian Healy and Alejandro Moreno. Watching Argentina being put through their paces for the last time before they start their defence of the World Cup title. They won so thrillingly in Qatar, and this is promising. It broke down right at the end. Barco couldn't pick up the final pass.
But in that turn in tight space, you saw what is so exciting about Nico Paz. Elegant with his touches on the ball, and while he has a big body and is a big frame, still moves very well with the ball in his feet. In tight spaces is looking to combine. And as I mentioned earlier, had a great season at Como, and they're waiting for him to have that same sort of impact with this national team.
Yeah. 8 appearances so far for the 21-year-old Paz. Just the 1 goal up to this point. But a chance for Argentina to sink their teeth into a free kick here, won by Jose Lopez.
The biggest issue that Nico Paz has, again, good combination. I've been talking about El Flaco Lopez and how well he's done with the hold-up play. The biggest issue that Nico Paz has is, well, that position is occupied by none other than Lionel Messi. So until Lionel Messi walks out the door, Nico Paz is going to be comfortably seated on the bench.
Yeah. And he did have such a fabulous season with Como, didn't he? Cesc Fabregas, his club manager, just raving about it. The 21-year-old. Real Madrid, by the way, still own half his rights, and there's certainly a scenario where he could end up back at the Bernabeu. He did come through their youth academy.
especially when then Real Madrid goes and spends a ton of money to go get Franco Mastantuono, and that doesn't really pan out. You had a young Argentinian already in your books. You decided to allow him to go to Como, while this guy could have been playing for you all along.
Here's the Argentina free kick, and almost split the uprights here at Jordan Hare Stadium. Right, you talk him up, Ali, and then that happens.
I'm sorry, are you blaming that on me?
There's Elias Olafsson, the Icelandic keeper. Bit of a star in the Danish league, Olafsson. Now then, this cooling break is brought to you by Gatorade. As we reach the halfway point of the first half, and a scene that's going to become very familiar, Ali, over the next month or so.
Yeah, I have no issues with people hydrating and drinking Gatorade. I have an issue with the cooling break, though. Broken play, missed clearance, another missed clearance, poor defending. They're just kind of looking at the ball, not really reacting in time, and Valentin Barco decides just to put his laces behind the ball. Olafsson sees it late, tries to react, but can't quite get there. 1-0.
Super finish for a man for whom goal scoring has not always come easy. He only scored twice for Strasbourg, his French First Division club, last season. In some ways, he's a bit of an Argentine Clint Dempsey, Ali. He used to make a 450-kilometer round trip to training at Boca Juniors because there was no room for him in the academy accommodation. So him and his dad used to make that round trip drive 4 times a week, Barco. And perseverance paid off for him. He's found his place, hasn't he? He had an awkward move to England with Brighton, didn't quite work out for him there, but has really flourished at Strasbourg, and it's going to be fascinating to see if he can really become a factor for Lionel Scaloni.
And what I like about him, and it's something that I noticed in the game against Honduras, and you're seeing the same thing here tonight against Iceland, is that sometimes if you are intimidated by the opportunity to play with Argentina in a World Cup in this sort of stage, you don't exactly come to the ball all that often. You may just find yourself hiding away from tight areas. In the case of Valentin Barco, he's just looking to get on the ball all the time. In tight areas with space, he's coming to get the ball from center back, but he's also going to get the ball from the attacking players. He's willing to run in behind. My question with Valentin Barco is size going to be an issue? He's not quite the physical presence that you would want in the midfield, but certainly a guy that with the ball in his feet can distribute play and can keep the rhythm going for Argentina.
And certainly Barco has caught the eye, as has both Jose Lopez and Nico Paz through this opening 25 minutes. Argentina, for those of you keeping count, have an excellent record in the last friendlies they played before a World Cup. They've won their last 7 of them. And in recent years, Ali, they've made a habit of playing teams fairly low down the world pecking order, haven't they? I was astonished to read this is their first European opponent they've had since the World Cup final against France at the end of 2022.
I'm sure Argentina would argue that when you play 3.5 years worth of qualifiers in CONMEBOL, that is as competitive as it gets. But point taken, and oh, by the way, I said that Valentin Barco perhaps may struggle with his size and the physicality of the game. He decides, you know what, I'll just go in a 2-footed challenge and prove you wrong.
It's almost like he was listening, Ali. Well, the upshot is the free kick here, which Gudmundsson is standing over. Johannesson as well. And it's Gudmundsson who takes it and didn't clear the first defender. I'm not sure Barco, who's everywhere at the moment, isn't he? I'm not sure he was the full 10 yards. And certainly feeling the effects.
Pretty sure he takes this on the face, which is less than ideal.
Right.
And he's probably going to be brought off to be evaluated, I'm guessing, or maybe not.
Appeared to be reluctantly walking towards the sideline. Maybe he was just going to take his place in the one-man wall again. Actually, it's a throw this time. Dealt with by the combined ranks of the Argentina defence, but only as far as Ellertson. Missed that early chance for Iceland. Mikael Ellertson, who has his club football in Italy with Genoa. Clash of heads as Facundo Medina down. Medina in at left back tonight.
And he gets him with a chicken wing. Arm stretch away from the body. Hits the top of the head. It is a foul. And Victor Paulsen also receives a yellow card. I think that's a bit much, but there you go.
I have to agree. Nothing particularly malicious about the challenge, even though it caught Medina. Medina probably behind Nicolas Tagliafico in the pecking order for that left back spot, Ali, and Tagliafico is another 33-year-old.
The reports coming out of Argentina is that he came out of the game against Honduras with some muscle fatigue, so he was not going to feature today.
Medina has not been to a World Cup yet at the age of 27. Only 8 prior appearances for the Albi Celeste. Gretarsson just guiding it back to Olafsson. And then Gretarsson a little careless in possession. The upshot is Barco on the ground, and another free kick coming Argentina's way, not to mention another booking.
It was a combo package of mistakes from Gretarsson. He's trying to dribble out of pressure, unable to do that, and then he follows that up with a foul and a yellow card, and now an opportunity for Argentina.
Let's go through some of the set-piece routines, perhaps. It's Giovanni Lo Celso. How much he is looking forward to this World Cup, having missed out on the last one just cruelly weeks before it. Picked up a muscle injury just before Qatar. Had to watch from the sidelines. Lo Celso's delivery, a tasty one, dealt with. And as far as Lopez.
I do wonder, Adrian, about the long list of players from Argentina that have been rested over the course of the last couple of games. It's not just Messi, Julian Alvarez, and Diego Martinez, and Cristian Romero, and Leandro Paredes, and the list goes on, and I kind of go, all right, there is resting, and then there is, well, are we still concerned about the level of fitness of this player? And are they magically going to acquire that level of fitness ahead of the first game against Algeria? So how much of this is rest, how much of it is actual concern to make sure that these players get to the World Cup in the best level possible? But how do you do that if you're not able to get out on the field?
Right. We will not know the answer to that question fully until June the 16th, a week from tonight. Barco To Medina. This is going to be Argentina's 19th World Cup overall, the third most of any nation. Not to mention their 14th in a row. We'll go back to 1978 when they hosted it. They've been to 5 finals since then. That's tied for the most with Germany in that time span.
This team and this version of Argentina, not necessarily those players that are on the field tonight, but just in general, it has such a similar feel to the transition from 1986 World Cup, winning that with Maradona, to the team that then lost in the finals to, at the time, West Germany in the 1990 World Cup. Yeah. To our colleague, by the way, Jürgen Klinsmann, who lifted the trophy that night. Regardless, I digress. Point being is that that team in 1990 was an aging Argentina team that still had a lot of the same talented players from the 1986 World Cup, but it was on the back end also what Maradona, what he was in 1986 and wasn't able to replicate in 1990.
Right.
They're
yeah, it's a really good comparison, Ali. Remember that team well.
There's a similar feel to what this team is going to be in this World Cup as compared to what that team was in the 1990 World Cup.
Yeah. And they had to fight and claw and make things ugly to get their way through the knockout rounds of that tournament. Including beating Brazil. Remember it well. And of course, upended the host nation Italy along the way.
And it's beating Brazil when Brazil was hitting the post and the crossbar and all sorts of different things, but then a moment of magic from Maradona and finding Claudio Paul Canigia and him getting around Tafarel and scoring the game-winning 1-0, and you kind of go, I can see that happening for this team in this World Cup. That sort of situation in which you have that moment of magic for Lionel Messi, but how much magic will we see? Not quite sure.
Yeah, header over the top there from Gretarsson after the delivery from Isaac Johannesson. No trouble for Geronimo Rulli. He's been flourishing with Marseille late on in his career at the age of 34. A bit of a careless giveaway. Iceland have numbers forward. Enjoying a spell of possession here. Spell almost ended there by Lo Celso's closing down.
And as a cautionary tale, if we're going to go with the comparison to the 1990 World Cup and the feel of this team, they lost their first game against Cameroon.
Yeah.
1-0.
Almost infamous upsets of all time. Of course, Argentina also lost the first game last time out in Qatar against Saudi Arabia. And it's Algeria who will try and repeat those astonishing feats. The interesting thing about the way their group is set up, Ali, is that if they either win or finish runners-up in their Group J, they will collide head-on with either Spain or Uruguay in all likelihood. Those two firm favourites to come out of their group. So that would immediately be a massive round of 32 game.
Well, let's take it even further, Adrian, since we're going to play that game.
Don't we like to at this time of year?
Yes. Let's say that they finish first in their group, as we expect Argentina to do. And assuming that Spain's group goes the way that we expect it to go, then Uruguay would finish second in that group, which then would mean that Argentina will play against Uruguay. And that would be a competitive match and a tough match for Argentina. But let's assume that they get past Uruguay. There's a potential that if the United States finish second in their group, the round of 16 match would be U.S. Good old U.S. of A. against this Argentina team.
Yeah, I'll sign up for that, Ali.
I'm sure you will. I'm not sure that Pochettino will, but
well, what a night that would be for him, by the way.
Yes, it would.
There's Johannesson trying to open things up in the middle. Iceland still enjoying a brief period of possession here. Argentina just sitting back for a few moments. Long ball over the top. Nice idea. Execution not quite there, and Rulli has it.
I was about to say that it's a possession that wasn't going really anywhere, and eventually they try to go for the ball over the top, but a straight ball down the middle of 40 yards. Really difficult to complete that sort of pass. Still 1-0 Argentina, but the pace of the game, and I'm going to blame it on the cooling break, Adrian, the pace of the game has dropped off. Argentina and their ability or willingness to go press the ball higher up the field has also dropped off. And yeah, let's get excited. Lionel Messi.
Yeah. You sure it's not Enzo Fernandez they're cheering?
No, nor is it Cristian Romero either.
Is Lisandro Martinez, Manchester United man at the back, who had an injury-racked campaign but is fit at the right time. Here's an opportunity for Simeone, and the shot in the end right at Olafsson.
We really
scored, didn't he, on Saturday?
Yeah, we really haven't talked enough about Giuliano Simeone in this game, and it's because, well, he hasn't really participated all that much. Change of side comes from the right-hand side, but we have seen him with Atletico Madrid, how dangerous he can be when he makes those runs from outside to in and in behind. That's the way that he scored against Honduras, and a nice little layoff from Lautaro Martinez, and it's also the way that he got Pau Cubarsí thrown out in Champions League.
Yeah.
And playing against Barcelona. When he makes those runs from outside to in and gets in behind and times it well, he's really dangerous and always active, always a willing runner.
Well, you and I, Ali, get to see plenty of Atletico Madrid, and a couple of times this past season where Simeone was perhaps the most dangerous attacking threat at times, and that's in a team with Julian Alvarez in it.
And assuming, of course, that Lionel Messi is on the field. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Cheap giveaway. Can Argentina exploit it? Nice ball over the top. Good goalkeeping in the end by Olafsson. Needed to be. Yes, Nico Paz got on the end of this.
How many of these turnovers have we seen from Iceland? There's good ball in behind from Valentin Barco, Nico Paz, willing runner, and Olafsson makes this save squarely with his nose. Takes it off the face, makes himself big, makes a save. Good run from Nico Paz. He thinks he scored, but good save from Olafsson.
Important part of any goalkeeper's armoury, Ali. Barco.
I'm sure you're going to ask me, Agent. I have no idea what just happened.
Nope. Remains a mystery. There was somehow an offside in that sequence, but
maybe, but I didn't see the assistant referee with a flag raised.
Right.
What do I know?
Still Argentina a goal to the good, thanks to that man. Valentin Barco puts in another rambunctious challenge, shall we say. And now he's going to be booked.
It's a side note. Was there not a bigger uniform for the referee today? He's wearing the medium. Valentin Barco once again late. He was late on the two-footed challenge earlier on. It comes again with a out of control fly-by sort of challenge, deserving of a yellow card.
Final few minutes of the first half here at the home of the Tigers. So much college football history in this building. For the first time ever, an international friendly. And, plenty of people have journeyed here from far and wide. And released a statistic saying more than a third of the attendance tonight was from people who've never been to an event in this stadium before.
And I'm sure for both sets of players, they have been training in the facilities of Auburn University. They're probably thinking to themselves,
All the shots all along the ground by Johannesson.
Yeah, it's a good set of play from Iceland. Nice little layup, hits it well by straight at Jeronimo Rudi. The point to be made is most of those players are probably asking, wait a minute, these are the facilities of a university?
This is college?
Yeah. I think that sometimes is taken for granted in this country.
Yeah. Now, Oscarson, seen very little of him and wastes that opportunity with a heavy touch.
The college athletic setup in this country is totally different than anywhere else in the world. It just doesn't exist to the level that it does here in the United States. Nor
really
is the sort of money involved in college athletics anywhere else around the world like there is here in this country.
88,000 at the stadium. Still only the 11th largest on-campus stadium in this country. By far the biggest stadium in most soccer nations around the country, or around the globe, I should say.
Now, if we're talking about college athletics and the money of college athletics and Auburn University and their facilities, because the game is not giving us much.
Yeah, it's just kind of ebbed away, hasn't it, over the last 10-15 minutes? It's as though Argentina were happy just to ease their way towards the half-time break. Iceland have a little more of the ball. As you pointed out, they haven't exactly done too much with it yet. And that trend continues. We are watching the Road to 26 with us here on ESPN, presented by Turkish Airlines. A flurry of games over the weekend. I hope you were able to enjoy some of those. Brazil in action, Argentina. Morocco-Norway game.
Magnuson comes late. And Flaco Lopez once again with a nice little touch. Gets around the defender. By the time the defender gets there, ball is already gone. Clearly a foul.
Martinez to Otamendi. Qualifying, as you mentioned, Ali, was an absolute breeze for Argentina. Finished 9 points clear at the top of Common Ball after that marathon 3-year process. And that included the first ever World Cup qualifying win in Brazil. They've never done it before.
And I think what those of us that have gone through the qualifying process in CONMEBOL and now how difficult it is, what is to be admired from Argentina in this particular qualification cycle is the fact that they were so consistent with their level of performance. And while everybody else was scrambling to get results, they seemed to get 3 points at a time, and it created the sort of separation that then allowed them to cruise in qualifier towards the end. Everybody else was scrambling. Argentina had been qualified for months already. It was never in doubt, but they certainly took any doubt away very early on.
Yeah. One of the first teams to pencil their names in for World Cup 2026. Here they are trying to put a capper on their first half display. Nico Paz has been driven a little wide ultimately. It was a position that promised much and delivered very little there for Argentina. That should just about do it for this first half, and indeed the half-time whistle sounds. I don't know if it's a 45 minutes you can easily sum up, Ali, but Argentina lead by a goal to nil thanks to Valentin Barco.
Yeah. First 22-23 minutes from Argentina, very good, very active, engaged. The last 22-23 minutes, forgettable from both teams.
So, plenty to tuck into for our boys in the ESPN FC studio at halftime. That would be Dan Thomas and Stuart Robson. Argentina leading by a goal to nil.
Argentina 1, Iceland 0 then at half-time. The fans in attendance thoroughly enjoying the first half so far. Flashes of brilliance from the defending champions. Lionel Messi remains on the bench. We're expecting to see him in the second half as welcome Stuart Robson into the ESPN FC studios. Let's take you through, shall we, the opening 45 minutes of action in Auburn. Almost a sellout for this clash. It was raining earlier today. It's cleared up beautifully, though, this evening for the tie. Messi, as I mentioned, warmed up but didn't start. His minutes very much being managed ahead of the start of the World Cup. Big chance here for Ellison. He'd won this back.
He should have scored. It was a good bit of play on the other side of the field. Goodmanson went inside onto his right foot. He might have been shooting for goal, but ended up being a very good cross.
Barco's been absolutely everywhere so far in this first half, and he manages to get the opening goal.
Yeah, Iceland had lots of chances to clear the ball. Eventually they did get some sort of boot on it, but it goes straight to Barco. And I'm not sure it's the cleanest of strikes, but it's good enough to go past the goalkeeper, who was probably unsighted when he first struck this. You can see it just comes off his shin almost rather than his boot.
Iceland defence under pressure here as Barco plays it in to Nico Paz.
The centre-forward hasn't done too much in the game. And the player in the number 10, Paz, as well. But the goalkeeper makes a good save.
Argentina 1, Iceland 0. Just a reminder, ESPN FC live with you every single day during the World Cup, 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN 2. So far it's Barco with the goal that gives Argentina the advantage. We'll be looking ahead to the second half in a moment. Argentina 1-0 up against Iceland in what is their final friendly before the start of the World Cup. It all starts on Thursday with Mexico in action against South Africa, the US men's national team on the Friday. But what about the whole tournament, Robbo? You take a look at how the bookies have things set. Argentina, the defending champions, our focus here today, are joint fifth favourites with Brazil.
We heard Ali talking about it during the game. They're a side that I don't think are going to be at their best. They're not as good as they were 4 years ago. Messi is 4 years older. Some of the other players that little bit older. Yes, they've got experience, but I'm not sure they've got the real quality in the side at the moment to challenge Spain and France. If they're going to win ugly, with one every so often a moment of brilliance from Messi. But
right.
I can't see Argentina really being one of the very best teams in the tournament.
So who is going to win the World Cup, Mr. Robson?
Well, when I look at the players available to them and the front players, particularly for France, they have to be the favourites. You know, when you're talking about Mbappe,
yes,
you're talking about Dembele, you're talking about Elise, and we're talking about him at the moment being one of the world's best players. You know, they've got so many players they can bring into the side as well. They've got a strong midfield. I still like Rabiot. I know he's a little bit older, but he's still a quality player. They've got some good defenders. As long as they don't implode, which France on occasions can, I would imagine France are the favourites.
Focusing on the South American teams, who's got the better chance? You mentioned Argentina and their frailties and the fact they're 4 years older. What about Brazil?
In the previous show, I said Brazil because, again, I don't think they've got a great side, but I hope Rafinha's at his best. I hope we see Vinicius Junior play really well. They've got a manager that's going to be calm and collected and composed. Thiago has done a very good season for Brentford. He's got pace and power to run in behind. I'm just hoping we see the best of Brazil. We see an organised Brazil, but also with a bit of flair in the front area. So I'm going to say that Brazil, for me, have got a slightly better chance than Argentina. I know not many people would agree with that.
No question, Lionel Messi was such a key part 4 years ago. He's obviously, as you mentioned, 4 years older now. How dangerous is it for Argentina to rely on a veteran Lionel Messi going into this tournament?
Well, when you've got a player like Lionel Messi who can't get around the field as he could, and he's not as dynamic and he's not going to work quite so hard, you have to build a team around him. So the other players, when he's dropping short, other players have to make forward runs. When he doesn't want to defend and go out and press anybody, they have to then drop off as a team. They've got to almost work alongside what Lionel Messi's going to do. And that's always a dangerous thing to do. We've seen it happen with many ageing players where the team revolves around him, and it's a problem for the coach. How does he get the tactics right when they haven't got the ball? And that's going to be the problem for Argentina.
How many minutes do you give him, if any, in this second half?
Well, I thought 30, but we didn't see him warm up, so maybe not. And Ali's talking about making sure that he doesn't get injured. I think we're seeing him for 20 minutes, maybe.
So Argentina with a 1-0 lead at the moment against Iceland. We're expecting Messi to feature in the second half here in Auburn. After the break, we'll be going back to our commentary team of Alejandro Moreno and Adrian Healy.
Well, welcome back, everyone, at the halftime light show continuing here at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama, staging its first ever major international friendly, and the crowd have come out in force and are making the most of it, seeing off the defending World Cup champions Argentina into their defense of the trophy, the last stop before that begins. And 1-0 up against Iceland here tonight so far. Adrian Healy with Alejandro Moreno alongside, and now most of the people here will be wondering what they're going to see in the second half and what particular personnel they may be seeing in the second half, Alec.
I can tell you that I've done my homework, and I believe I saw Enzo Fernandez given the old 5-yard sprints, 10-yard sprints that are an automatic sign that he's going to be coming onto the field. As for everybody else, they're just holding jerseys with their hands, so they're not quite ready to go just yet. And more importantly, I'm sure that people are talking and thinking about Lionel Messi and how much time he's going to get today. Their guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
I would assume much like what Stewie was talking about in the studio, 15, 20 minutes. A nominal appearance just to kind of get some touches on the ball, but not much more than that. But we await. More importantly, Argentina as a country awaits to see exactly what is it that Lionel Messi is ready to give this team right about now.
Yep. But as you just pointed out, it looks like Enzo Fernandez is going to get the nod.
Rodrigo de Paul is as well, Christian Romero, Alexis McAllister. All right, we got a lot of changes, Adrian.
Yep. I think we saw Barco, who really caught the eye in the first half, looking like he's not going to continue. Iceland making their way back out, as we mentioned. We will be watching from the sidelines this World Cup after their one appearance in 2018. There's the man that could have given them a shock lead early on, Mikael Ellertson. We've actually been told about one switch for Iceland. We will try and confirm that for you in just a moment, but it looks like there's going to be several for the Argentines. In fact, a little warm-up routine going on.
I'm telling you, if you're making this sort of sprint, it's a telltale sign. It's like somebody holding the back of their legs. You know, they've done their hamstring. When you're doing this sort of stuff, it's because you're going on the field. So Lautaro's on for Jose Manuel Lopez.
Yeah, that's the Icelandic switch we're looking at there, which is Christian Haraldsson who's come on.
Enzo Fernandez and Rodrigo de Paul are in. Barco and Lo Celso are off.
And underway at the start of the second half. And for Argentina now going from left to right. This is the Road to 26, brought to you by Turkish Airlines, and confirmation of the switches now for Argentina. Barco, an impressive first half, making way for Rodrigo de Paul. Enzo Fernandez on for Giovanni Lo Celso.
I believe Leandro Paredes is also on the field.
Alexis McAllister is on for Palacios. Straight switch in the center of the park.
Never mind, not Leandro Paredes, Alexis McAllister. You're correct, Adrian.
And Lautaro Martinez will get the second half here in place of Jose Lopez. Giuliano Simeone still very much out there. Martinez, who scored the opener for Argentina on Saturday in their win against Honduras, scored from the penalty spot. Giuliano Simeone got the second in that 2-0 win.
And as I mentioned on Saturday, it could be a big World Cup for Lautaro Martinez. Now, let's not forget that going back 4 years to the World Cup win in Qatar, he started against Saudi Arabia, didn't play well, was nursing an ankle injury, didn't have the best World Cup, ended up scoring a big penalty kick in the penalty kick shootout against the Netherlands, and was seconds away from actually scoring the game winner, potentially game winner against France in the World Cup in the extra time period. This is an opportunity now for Lautaro Martinez because we don't know what the status of Julian Alvarez is. And so you feel if the attack of Argentina is going to thrive, and if Julian Alvarez is not at his best, then it has to be Lautaro Martinez who is that guy leading the line, leading the front line for Argentina alongside with Lionel Messi.
Yeah. And behind Messi, he's the second highest goal scorer for Argentina in the Lionel Scaloni era, which now dates back to early 2019.
I'm going to guess we're yelling and screaming because Lionel Messi got off his backside and is actually doing some sort of warm-up.
I suspect your powers of deduction are spot on as always, Mr. Moreno. It's Paz trying to launch another attack for Argentina. Simeone back inside to Nico Paz. Rodrigo de Paul. Former Atletico Madrid man, of course, who's now with Lionel Messi in South Florida, playing for Inter Miami.
Alexis McAllister, leading the game, number 21, Jose Manuel Lopez. replaced by number
And there it is.
Roberto Martinez.
Oscarson.
You mentioned Rodrigo de Paul, Adrian, and I was talking about this during the match against Honduras, that they're going to need him to pick up his level of play. Hasn't been playing all that well with Inter Miami early on in the season. In fact, I would argue that he has been very underwhelming in the early part of the season in Major League Soccer. Maybe he was saving himself for the World Cup, but they need him to be at his best if indeed Argentina is going to be successful. Not only in the role of sort of protecting Lionel Messi, but in the role of actually winning possession higher up the field, distributing play, and providing this team with that energy and that intensity and that bite that you need in the midfield. If you're going to have Lionel Messi walking around the field, you're going to need guys like Rodrigo de Paul to be at their best in order to regain possession of the ball.
Yeah. And he's another now, the wrong side of 30, 32, de Paul. With 86 appearances for his national team. We talked about how difficult it is historically for World Cup holders to then repeat, how infrequently it's happened. It's actually been the opposite that's been more common of late. 3 of the last 4 World Cup winners have gone out in the group stage of the following tournament. You think of Italy in 2010 in South Africa, Spain in 2014 in Brazil, and then Germany in 2018 in Russia. Of course, France bucked that trend last time out, Ali. They were the holders and they got all the way back to the final.
And then as we project what this Argentina team is going to look like in the World Cup, and let's think about the players that are no longer here. Well, most of them seem to have been recalled by Lionel Scaloni. The absence of a guy like Angel Di Maria, and how much are they going to miss him and his ability to stretch back lines, because he's always willing to run in behind. Who's that player that is going to give you that dimension? Maybe perhaps Juliano Simeone, maybe if Nico Gonzalez is healthy, perhaps he gives you that, but not quite at the level of Angel Di Maria. They'll miss him in this World Cup.
Yeah, he's the one big name that has gone, finally retired from national team duty. It's amazing now, Ali, to think back at some of the reaction and the derision directed at Lionel Scaloni when he was handed the reins of the Argentina national team back in 2019. But what a run it's been. Started with 3rd place at Copa America in 2019, then won it the next 2 editions. Here is his team on the prowl again, looking for a second. Nice work by Simeone to tee it up. Is there an end product? Enzo Fernandez trying to provide one, but Olafsson narrowing down the angle, and Iceland able to breathe again.
And I don't mind the decision from Juliano Simeone. It's good ball in behind from Rodrigo de Paul, but swing the ball in and squeeze it to where you can find the center forward. In this case, Lautaro Martinez, although his movement wasn't the best inside the 18-yard box, he's putting his hands down like, give it to my feet. But if you move, you can actually find a tapping at the back post. But Lautaro Martinez was just coming towards the ball, and eventually, once the ball got to Enzo Fernandez, they ran out of space. Iceland able to create to clear the danger.
Well, the crowd not being shy about what they want to see.
So I was about to say that Juliano Simeone should have just delivered that ball into the space for the run of Lautaro Martinez. But there was no run from Lautaro Martinez.
Yeah.
And at that point, that's why Juliano Simeone sort of cuts the ball in behind, and he's kind of waiting for movement to come from Enzo Fernandez or Alexis McAllister. And while Lautaro was demanding the ball, if I were Juliano Simeone, I would demand movement from Lautaro.
Corner kicks in our game being brought to you by Enterprise. There's the Iceland corner whipped in. Nice delivery, and it was just touched behind. It'll be take two for the opposite corner. Some work for Geronimo Rulli to do. It is Albert Gudmundsson, the man who plays in Italy with Fiorentina, to take this. And again, just touched on. Argentina defense able to repel the threat.
Much like I said about Rodrigo de Paul and him having to elevate his level of play, I'll say the same thing about Alexis McAllister, who had a tough season with Liverpool. There's no other way to say it. Now, he wasn't the only player that was underwhelming and underperforming for Liverpool, but certainly one of those guys that, if Argentina are going to be successful, he needs to elevate his level of play, and consistently so. Not just for moments, but for 90 minutes at a time.
Yeah. And he's been part of this Argentina setup for best part of 7 years now. Alexis McAllister. Been with Liverpool for the last 3. A little pocket here for Lautaro Martinez. Is the shot on? Martinez pivoting back to Hiai. Right back in comes the cross, but it was a moment that seemed to promise much for Argentina. Oscarson closing down, but Cannon's behind harmlessly. Oscarson, who wears number 9 for Iceland, grabbed a couple of goals against Canada. Ken Marsh, Iceland got a really credible 2-2 draw now. The threat is provided by Argentina on the break. Oh, and Nico Paz's ball across, just eluding Lautaro. That full stretch.
It all starts for the two center backs from Iceland challenging for the same ball, and now they get themselves out of position. Nico Paz takes a good first step forward. Now he's going to find Lautaro Martinez. It's a pass that needs to be completed with the right pace, and if it is completed with the right pace, it's a tapping from high counter range, sliding attempt for Lautaro Martinez. Wasted opportunity for Argentina.
More changes forthcoming for Lionel Scaloni, but perhaps not the one they're really waiting for. It's going to be Thiago Almada and Nicolas Gonzalez who come on. Nicolas Gonzalez, another who missed out in 22 in Qatar, picking up a muscle injury just before the tournament. Almada, who did play in Qatar, albeit only 6 minutes. And he's going to replace Nico Paz. Nicolas Otamendi was trying to make way from Gonzalez.
That means that Nico Gonzalez will play as a left back, and Facundo Medina will shift over to the center back position to play alongside Cristian Romero.
De Paul feeding it wide left. Picked off by Gudmundsson for Iceland. Well, referee tried to play some advantage and then decided there really wasn't any. Approaching the hour mark here at Jordan Hare Stadium in front of nearly 88,000. It's Argentina's 7th consecutive game against opponents ranked 49 or lower by FIFA in the world. After Honduras last week, the previous games against Zambia, Mauritania, Angola, Puerto Rico and Venezuela, Ali, in that category.
Oh. I don't know if that's a category we want to be in.
Here's the shot that's on. Ooh, and that's packed a punch for sure. Good move inside by Haraldsson, the man who plays for Lille in France. And the Iceland fans here thought they had an equalizer.
And it's all too easy. This is concerning for Argentina. It's all too easy how a little quick give and go frees up Haraldsson. No line of confrontation from the midfield and no line of confrontation from the back line either. And so Haraldsson just kind of, all right, well, I keep dribbling, I keep going towards goal, nobody's going to step to me, so I'll take a shot on. If we put it on target, maybe we're 1-1. Miss the target, still 1-0.
Yeah. Not seen that much of him so far, but he's a really prized asset by Iceland. He was the Icelandic Footballer of the Year at the age of 19. Iceland now managed by Arnar Gunnlaugsson, a 53-year-old who took over in 2025. Actually, it was under Heimir Hallgrímsson that they had their glory years, Ali. Those Euro and World Cup appearances. Hallgrímsson currently trying to restore the same sort of story for Ireland. Long diagonal ball, right on the money for Simeone, who slips it through. Opportunity perhaps for Lautaro, and back off the post. Lautaro Martinez teeing it up, and it looked, quite frankly, easier to score, Alec, but
it all starts with Lautaro Martinez and the contact with Magnusson, the defender. They're running together, and then as he tries to run in behind, seems to step on Magnusson, which then frees up Lautaro Martinez. He makes a correct decision, puts it onto the pass of Alexis McAllister, and to your point, should have scored. Almost too relaxed, almost too comfortable. Should have scored. Does not, still 1-0.
That's two really big misses we've seen at that end of the field. As an instant booking is handed out there, and a little bit of a flare-up. McAllister was the man down. Johannesson in the eye of the storm for Iceland, the FC Köln man.
All right, calm down, people. Look, it's a foul. Fine. I don't know why we're making such a big deal out of this. Yes, makes contact with the back of the leg of Alexis McAllister, and then everybody gets push and a shove and a push and a shove, and what are we doing? It actually, it goes to the same conversation of players. While they're getting their minutes in ahead of the World Cup, they're also all concerned that, hey, nobody wants an injury at this point, and anything that seems like could potentially be a bad challenge, then people get all worked up, unnecessarily so.
Yeah, told you people getting worked up. A slight raise in the decibel level can only mean one thing is about to happen, and there it is. Before that moment arrives, Argentina will try and thrive from the free kick earned by McAllister. All along the ground and safely taken by Olafsson.
Tell you what the reasoning was there by Enzo Fernandez. Said, well, with this guy coming on the field, Messi, nobody else is taking free kicks, so I might as well get mine when I can.
The ball dribbling out of play, and will this be the moment? Again, a little sloppy out of the back by Argentina. We've seen that a few times tonight. Haraldson unable to make any headway, and now that's an adventurous ball and a perfect one from Enzo Fernandez. Releasing De Paul. Not the end product he was seeking.
But it's encouraging to see Rodrigo De Paul at full speed running in behind.
There he is again. 20 minutes gone in the second half. Good triangles played by the Argentina midfield. McAllister was the man on the receiving end. He releases his man. Oh, and back off the post again. Same post from the same area of the penalty box, and once again Argentina denied.
It's really good combination play from Argentina, and Lautaro Martinez, who barely stays in an onside position, being kept on by Magnussen, opens up his body, wants to bend it around Olafsson, does that, but not of the post and in, instead of the post and out.
Thiago Almada, former Atlanta United man, familiar with this part of the world. 3 years, just an hour and a half up the road from here.
A lot of his fans say, just kick the ball out of bounds, please, so we can make this change.
Well, there's been many legendary Auburn football players over the years that have played here. James Brown has played here, the Beach Boys have played here, Kenny Chesney has played in this stadium, but never until now Lionel Messi. That is about to change. Also going to see Gonzalo Montiel, by the way, as a side note.
Very much a side note.
The man who came on with Messi. A cooling break brought to you by Gatorade. Before we get to see Messi. So they're keeping them waiting here, aren't they?
I think you got that wrong, Agent. This one is brought to you by Celsius.
Oh, it is. You are right. The eagle-eyed spotting of our advertising commitments, Ali. Well done. I'll do it again. This cooling break is brought to you by Celsius.
Yeah, there you go.
Still 1-0. Argentina, Ali, have had their moment, haven't they, to get themselves well and truly clear at this point. A couple of shots back off the post in the last 10 minutes.
And while you like for those opportunities to be finished and to be put into the back of the net, what I think is encouraging that what has been what we would consider their starting group in the midfield has started to combine and really break down Iceland. And when you have that rotation and that passing and movement through the midfield of Argentina, and then now you add Lionel Messi, that's when you start building a case for Argentina and thinking, yeah, there's something special about this group. Still, I don't know if it's going to be enough, but a group that is talented nonetheless, and of course, when it comes to talent,
yeah,
none bigger than Lionel Messi.
Well, and one Lionel talking to the other there, and Lionel Scaloni has been a little irked, isn't he, by some of the suggestions that it's Messi that's running this team. He went to great lengths in the press conference to rubbish those rumours from the Spanish press mainly, but Messi is on, and it's cap number 199 for him. An international journey, Ali, that started in 2005. Remember, he was famously sent off on his debut for Argentina against Hungary.
Well, underreported, John Thorsteinsson has just come on the field for Iceland.
Yeah. So Messi for Simeone. It's one of those Argentina switches. And here he is getting his first stitch and getting involved immediately and setting it up. And the little clip goes just wide from Lautaro, but is it a penalty? The referee has pointed to the spot.
The back line of Iceland all over the place. Some are stepping, and then you have the right back just keeping everybody on side. Good ball from Lionel Messi, as you would expect, and Lautaro Martinez tries to go with the attempt over the goalkeeper Olafsson, who comes out of his goal somewhat out of control, thinking that he's going to have to make the save, does not make the contact that he would want on Lautaro Martinez. He's late in the sliding challenge, takes him down, foul, and now the opportunity for Lionel Messi and for these fans to enjoy Lionel Messi scoring a goal.
Well, no more than a minute or two after coming on the pitch, he opens things up for Lautaro Martinez to win the penalty, and now Messi trying to take advantage against Iceland. Slotted home with consummate ease. Ironically, just like he couldn't do against them at the World Cup in 2018, but this is goal number 117 for number 10.
So he's on the field for a minute, puts the ball in behind, and it is that contact, that leg outstretched from Olafsson on Lautaro Martinez. Lionel Messi, slow run up, hoping and waiting that the goalkeeper is going to move. He doesn't, so then decides to go with a little bit more power. Olafsson full stretch, can't quite get there. Good execution from Lionel Messi. 2-0, Argentina.
He had been out for just about 2.5 weeks. He's back on the score sheet within minutes of coming back, and Messi is at it again.
There's just different know-how, a different energy when Lionel Messi is on the field for Argentina, and it's a different quality. Certainly not that pass, but in general, his first touch on the ball, it's a splitting pass for Lautaro Martinez. He puts him through on goal. Second touch is putting the ball into the back of the net through the penalty spot, and you just get the sense that when everything goes through Messi, the picture for Argentina is far more dangerous in terms of what they're able to do in the attack.
Yeah. He's about to play in his record-breaking 6th World Cup. So too is Cristiano Ronaldo. And possibly Guillermo Ochoa as well.
Much less heralded 6th World Cup appearance.
Messi will be chasing the all-time record. He already has the record in terms of appearances at World Cup finals, was 26, and he has 13 goals, which puts him 3 behind the all-time leader, Miroslav Klose. Anderson for Iceland. It's only the 10th time they've played South American opponents. Iceland, they only have 2 wins. Now, referee reaching for another card and another yellow.
I don't even think this is a foul, to be honest with you. Lautaro Martinez wins the ball. Wins the ball. If you cannot make this sort of challenge, the game is gone.
Yeah. He was definitely there first, wasn't he? And on the ground and connected with ball. Players seem to follow through and just tumble over the top.
Argentina.
Lionel Scaloni.
It's for me, it's not a foul, but certainly not a yellow card.
Right. Oscarson beaten to it by Medina. Well, Iceland can go again. They won't have any more football after tonight until they play in the Nations League in September. The referee giving the foul there, and the Iceland players did not like that one bit either. DePaul on the receiving end. Again, was that a foul, Relive?
I've already made my opinion very clear. Adrian, I don't know. Maybe it's the tight uniform the referee's got on. He's got to blow that whistle quick.
Certainly the bar has been set pretty low for what constitutes a foul and what constitutes a yellow card, apparently. So the card count rising in this friendly. Oh, it's careless. It's Oscarson who's picked it up, and a chance. Didn't quite break their way. Now another yellow card coming out. Just Almada is the player on the end of the challenge this time.
The argument that Rodrigo de Paul is trying to make to the Icelandic players is, look, take it easy. We have a World Cup to play. The argument from Iceland is, it wasn't even a foul. I didn't touch him. What do you want me to do, not to challenge the ball? And a lot of this has to do, and I know I've made the comment about the referee. Yeah, you got to calm things out, but you're the one who's actually, because of all the yellow cards and because some of the challenges are starting to fly, you're the one who's not helping the situation.
And here's Messi trying to get back to business. Business of directing traffic. DePaul with him. Messi on the left. Medina. Nicely done. Enzo Fernandez is the beneficiary. Oh, and he's done really well to dribble through a couple of challenges. Messi on the prowl. Needs an outlet. One arriving. The crossover done.
It's about the third or fourth really good combination that we have seen through the midfield of Argentina. Once everybody that we expect to be on the field actually starts getting touches on the ball, and the movement of the ball is sharp. The touches on the ball are sharp. The passing of the ball is sharp. good signs for Lionel Scaloni and Argentina.
Iceland have some numbers moving forward here. Johannesson with the layoff. There's Haraldsson. Magnusson with the giveaway. It's a gift. Iceland have only ever beaten 2 South American nations, Ali. You knew I was going to mention this, didn't you? They beat Bolivia 1-0 in the build-up to the '94 World Cup. Bolivia's only appearance as Messi threatens to break through. This time the whistle sounds. And there's also the small matter of a 1-0 win against the Vino Tinto of Venezuela back in 2022.
No, see, Adrian, unnecessarily so. It's about the 3rd or 4th shot that you take at Venezuela in this World Cup, or in this road to the World Cup game that we're calling tonight. I'm not going to take it personally, but it feels like there's a whole lot of research that you have done in the things that have gone wrong for Venezuela, and somehow they're both related to Argentina and Iceland.
I'm just sad they're not going to be a part of the summer jamboree, Ali. This was supposed to be the year.
You're not making it better. Yeah, it's good things that I've turned the page, though. I'm really over it.
I can tell.
I've dealt with it really well.
Here's Gylfi Sigurdsson, one of the members of Iceland's glorious era. It was nearly a decade ago now. He's going to come on. Kristall Ingesson as well. And Gudjonsson, he's a famous name, isn't he, in Icelandic footballing lore. And his young Daniel Gudjonsson, the son of Eidje, who's going to come on. Oscarsson, the end of it's been a really good year for him with Real Sociedad. Here's Messi with the free kick, bending it in and sliding in to meet it. Really nice delivery for Christian Romero to try and get on the end of.
Pretty sure that Christian Romero was in an offside position. Because otherwise the ball comes off Aron Gunnarsson and it should have been a corner kick. I'm guessing Christian Romero was in an offside position.
Sigurdsson, one of those coming on. Bevy of late changes for now Gunn Lauksen, the 53-year-old coach of Iceland. Otto Hermansen, another. Gylfi Sigurdsson, who at the age of 36 is now playing back in Iceland with Vikingur of Reykjavik. After a glorious career that took in the likes of Spurs, Everton and Swansea in the Premier League. Good looking free kick and, well, an open header, a wide open header for Gunnarsson.
Almost too open. Good service from Sigurdsson. He just tries to do too much with a header. gave him the full Viking treatment into this thing rather than just redirect it back where it came from. From somebody who's follically challenged like myself, maybe slipped off of the top of his sweaty head. It happens.
Yep, you always have to account for that, Ali.
Yeah, well.
Judging where ahead he goes.
You know about the subject of being follically challenged.
Very familiar with the discipline.
Stewie in the studio knows very well what we're talking about.
Yeah, we have our fair share in that department, don't we?
Sometimes you get sweaty and it's a wet ball and it slips over the top of your head. You don't make the contact that you want with a header. It's an actual point, but you know.
5 minutes to go here in Auburn. The crowd getting what they came for. Just an appearance, but a goal from Lionel Messi. Argentina just trying to ease their way through the final minutes of preparation here before the World Cup gets underway in earnest in a week's time. Here's Messi sliding it through again, surely, and it is number 3. Beautiful finish in the end from Almada, and it was so well worked as the Iceland defence just melted.
You want to repeat that, Adrian, because he was cute. And they did melt. Now the initial option was to find Lautaro Martinez. But Rodrigo de Paul says, you know, let me just give it to Lionel Messi. He'll figure it out. But Rodrigo de Paul, more importantly, he continued his movement. He continued his running behind. And Thiago Almada also then became a presence inside the 18-yard box, while Lautaro Martinez drifted towards the far post. Almada covers the space in the middle. Good layoff from Rodrigo de Paul. Tapping from my kind of range. 3-0, Argentina.
Yep. I tell you what, Ali, there were plenty of fans of the Five Stripes just up the road in Atlanta who wish he was still around these parts more often. He's fabulous to watch in his 3 years with MLS.
Hasn't been able to capture that sort of level of play consistently so with Atletico Madrid. Kind of still trying to figure out what his role is in that club under Diego Simeone.
Yeah. Maybe next year it will be the year for him. He played 27 times. So often it was off the bench, wasn't it, for Atleti? 3 goals. Still only 25, Thiago Almada. This is goal number 5 for him for Argentina.
I think it bears repeating. We made the point earlier, but there's just a different level of clarity in the attack for Argentina when Lionel Messi's on the field. He's obviously the reference point. Everybody looks for him, and he resolves issues for everybody. You just give him the ball, and he figures out what to do next. It makes them far more dangerous, far more dynamic, far more creative. Defensively, you're sacrificing some things, but are things that I think Scaloni is comfortable sacrificing because of what you gain offensively. And when Lionel Messi is on the field, Argentina are a different team.
Yeah. Well, and do you think Lionel Scaloni has come any closer to answering questions he may have had about his first choice starting 11 from what he's seen here tonight? Well, we'll come back to that question because the offside flag has stayed down for now, and a chance on the rampage to make it 4. Messi denied by an outstretched leg of the Iceland defender, and then of course the flag did come up in delayed fashion, which we all love so much.
Now, these are the sort of things that you have to be careful about if you're Argentina. Lautaro Martinez gets in behind, ends up being in an offside position, but he's in a 1v1 situation against a goalkeeper. And sometimes some of these Argentina players, they're so, I suppose, occupied with the idea of giving the ball to Messi that you end up missing out on doing your job and what you usually do very naturally. And in this case, Lautaro Martinez, if Lionel Messi were not on the field, he's not even looking to pass that ball. He's going towards goal, and he's going to finish, at least try to finish the chance himself.
Only 3 additional minutes to be played. But back to the question of Argentina's first choice starting 11, Ali. Do we know what it is? Does Lionel Scaloni know what it is?
I believe so, and it's most of the players that came on in the second half, in the early part of the second half.
Yeah. Iceland looking for late consolation, and no more than that at this point. Messi. Quite connect. Lorenzo Fernandez.
I believe there are decisions to be made in the left back position. We'll see what the progress of Nicolás Tagliafico is over the next couple of days.
Yeah.
The right back position as well, maybe one in question. Gonzalo Montiel had been carrying an injury. It feels like perhaps Agustín Giai will start the World Cup. At least seemingly that has been the plan as of now. But they've been waiting on Gonzalo Montiel and see whether he was going to be fit enough to play. Dibu Martinez, we assume, is going to be in goal. We haven't seen anything from Julian Alvarez, so my guess would be that in the first game, Lautaro Martinez will start.
Yeah. There's now Molina as well, who's still trying to get back to fitness.
We haven't seen anything from him. That's why it sort of leads me to believe that Agustín Giai will get the initial opportunity.
Yeah, which would be really something, wouldn't it, for the 22-year-old to almost come out of nowhere.
And then the center back position, if you were really thinking about starting Nicolás Otamendi in that first match, then why give him so many minutes as you did against Honduras and against Iceland tonight? It tells me that maybe Cristian Romero and Lisandro Martinez are the ones that are going to play, although Otamendi seemingly is always ready for Lionel Scaloni. So but that's another question that you may have in terms of position and players that are available.
One last chance perhaps for Iceland. Cross came in. Gudjonsson did get ahead to it.
Good work down the left-hand side, but Gudjonsson almost feels and looks as if he's surprised that the ball is coming to him. You're center forward, but you've made a run. You have to anticipate that the ball may fall to you. He seems surprised and missed the chance.
Very odd indeed, wasn't it? But that is that. It is next stop Kansas City for Lionel Messi and company. Comfortable 3-0 win here against Iceland. The perfect preparation for a week's time at Algeria next, as Lionel Scaloni and his troops will begin the defence of their World Cup trophy won so thrillingly in Qatar 4 years ago. Ali, plenty to enjoy in the second half particularly.
Yeah, I thought that Argentina were a different team in the second half, and certainly because of the presence of those players that we think are going to start the first match. And of course, Lionel Messi being on the field makes all the difference in the world. They're a different team with him on the field. What he can do, what he can see, what he can create. How quick was John Turntheisen trying to get the jersey of Lionel Messi? The whistle hadn't even blown and he was already asking for the jersey. Suppose I don't blame him, but in terms of the exercise, a useful exercise for Lionel Messi, a useful exercise for Lionel Scaloni and Argentina. He gets on the field, scores a goal, creates an opportunity with his first touch, and you just know that Argentina have a completely different energy and dynamic movement with him on the field.
Yeah. Almost a totally different game, wasn't it, when he appeared. That goal number 117 in the Albi Celeste colours as well. So that will do it for us on this road to 26. Hope you enjoyed it. And the World Cup is next, folks. For myself, Adrian Healy and Ali Moreno, it's good night from Auburn.